They found the wound years ago, and they have been pressing on it ever since. Not because they misread you, because every time you flinch, they learn exactly how to move you the next time. You have already spent years defending yourself, explaining yourself, bracing for the next hit. Energy that built nothing, proved nothing, and changed nothing about how they see you. You didn't notice because it felt like standing your ground. It wasn't. It was standing still while they studied the target. What you called an attack, Marcus Aurelius called material. He didn't waste a single hour hating the men working against him. He burned them for fuel. These are the 4 moves he used to turn the man trying to destroy him into the exact force that made him unbreakable. They've mapped your reactions long before you noticed you were being watched, timed your patience, cataloged exactly which comment makes you defensive and which makes you go quiet. The raised eyebrow across a table, the pause before you answer a text, the exact sentence that gets your voice to climb half an octave. None of that was an accident. Someone ran the experiment enough times to know the results before they opened their mouth. You didn't choose to be studied. You just got studied anyway, by someone who treats your emotional response as usable intelligence, filed away for the next time they need to move you somewhere you didn't intend to go. Marcus Aurelius spent years surrounded by men doing exactly this, plotting, undermining, positioning against him inside his own court, waiting for a crack in his composure to widen. He never once wrote about eliminating them. He wrote about making himself the kind of man their plotting couldn't touch because a wall doesn't need to punish the wind. Move 1. Stop reacting like the reaction is owed. Every flinch you give them is a data point they file. Every calm you deny them is intelligence they don't get to collect. Most men think ignoring an enemy makes them weaker, gives him room to operate unseen, to keep working while nobody's watching. That's backwards, and the men running the game know it better than you do. Machiavelli wrote it plainly. The prince who answers every insult teaches his enemies exactly which insults land, handing them a working map of his temper for free. The prince who studies without responding learns everything about the men studying him, their timing, their tells, the exact moment they overreach because they think no one's counting. He watches the meeting where they undercut you, the room where they position against you, the conversation where your name comes up when you're not in it. And he says nothing, because saying nothing is how you find out who's actually running the operation. Move 2. Watch them the way they're watching you. Learn their patterns without ever handing them yours. They want you rattled. A rattled man explains himself, defends himself, performs his innocence in front of an audience, in the group chat, in the meeting, in front of the people whose opinion he's decided matters. And every performance is another rope they get to pull whenever they need him moving again. Marcus Aurelius called this the trap of needing to be understood. The moment you need them to see you as right, you've handed them the leash, and now your composure is only as strong as their next provocation. He didn't stop caring what was true. He stopped needing the room to agree with him about it. Move 3. Stop needing them to get it. The unreadable man can't be baited, can't be cornered, can't be predicted, and a man they can't predict costs more to manage than he's worth, so eventually they stop trying and go looking for someone easier. Subscribe. Every episode goes one level deeper into what they use against you and how to make yourself the kind of man it stops working on. Here's what nobody tells you about the man working against you. He is, without meaning to, the best training you will ever get, and he's running it for free. Every angle he tries, you survive, and surviving it teaches you the shape of the next 10 men who try something close to it. Every move he makes, you now recognize the moment someone else winds up for the same one. The compliment that isn't a compliment, the favor that comes with a hidden invoice, the silence timed to make you fill it with something you'll regret. Marcus Aurelius didn't waste a single hour wishing his enemies were kinder men, or that his court ran on better people. He treated every one of them as a drill he didn't have to design himself, a rehearsal he didn't have to schedule. Move 4. Let the resistance sharpen you instead of exhausting you. The blade doesn't resent the stone. The man still bracing for the next attack 5 years after the first one hasn't learned anything from it. He's just been enduring it, carrying the same tension in his shoulders every time a familiar voice enters a room. Enduring isn't the same as extracting. One just survives the weather. The other builds something from it. Marcus Aurelius wasn't trying to survive his enemies. He was extracting something from every one of them, taking what the confrontation taught him and leaving the resentment behind, then moving on unmarked while the men who came at him stayed exactly where they were. That's the difference between a man being worn down and a man being built by the same pressure. One of them is still the same man 5 years later, and one of them isn't. They will keep coming because men like that don't retire when a tactic stops working on you. They just find someone easier and run the same play on him instead. That's not your problem to solve. Fixing them was never on your list. Your only job is making sure you're not the easy one anymore, that the play doesn't work here, that the investment doesn't pay out. Machiavelli understood that the appearance of being unshakable does half the work before anyone even tests it. Most men never make the attempt on someone who looks like the attempt will cost them something. Marcus Aurelius understood the other half. The appearance only holds if it's real, because eventually someone will test it, and a reputation for composure, you don't actually have collapses in a single bad afternoon. You're going to meet another one of them. Not if, when, because there is always another man who thinks your reaction is worth engineering, and the only real choice you get is what you've built by the time he shows up. Whether you're still the man who hands over his composure for free, or the man who has spent enough years turning every one of them into fuel that there's nothing left in you for them to burn. Marcus Aurelius did not get to choose the men who worked against him inside his own court, and neither will you get to choose the ones working against you now, but he chose every day what those men were allowed to cost him, and that choice was the only ground that was ever actually his. They gave him the fire, he decided what to build with it. You already know what you are, finally ruthless.